Parsons. We are He is the coordinator for the Doyle Center for Gender and Sexuality at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And tonight he will be leading an LGBTQ plus student panel. This panel will have 3 to 5 students or community members who will share their experience about being LGBTQ plus. Crap, I put a timer on this and I'm just realizing, sorry. They will talk about what it's like to be in the LGBTQ plus community on campus and in the community. And they will also be talking about ways in which our audience can be more productive allies. So before I mess up any further, I would like to introduce Elliot Parsons.
Hello, everyone. I think I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it with our volunteers tonight. If we could our three volunteers tell us a little bit about yourself, your name, pronouns, major, where you're from, and then for funsies, we're going to do favorite pizza topping. So let's start with the first person on my screen is Riley. If you would like to start.
All right. Hi, I'm Riley Sassy. I am a senior majoring in chemistry and minoring in math. I'm graduating at semester. My pronouns are he, him. I'm from Bridgewater, New Jersey, and my favorite pizza topping is either pineapple or mushroom, but not at the same time.
Awesome. I'm glad that you said pineapple because pineapple is definitely the best pizza topping. Anyway, next I have Beck on my screen.
Hi, I'm Beck. They, them, theirs. I am a political science major with an English minor, a women and gender studies minor, and then a gay studies certificate. That's always a mouthful. I'm from Oregon, Wisconsin, and I've been struggling with this all day, and I really don't have a favorite pizza topping. I just kind of eat what's there.
I don't know if I accept that as your answer or not, but we'll move on. Next, I have Jason.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason. Pronouns are he, him, his. I was a women and gender studies major with an English minor and a gay studies certificate. I graduated in May 2020. I worked for, I'd worked for Jeffers Market for like 3 years, but recently I ended my term there and I'm now working at UW-Madison. I was originally from Judah, Wisconsin, considered Platteville home for 5 years, and now I'm about to consider Madison home. I move on Monday, so that's very exciting. And then my favorite pizza topping is mushrooms, I would say. Pineapple is pretty good, but I have to be like in the mood for that.
That's fair. So the first question that I have for you all tonight is why did you want to be on this panel? And we'll go backwards this time. We'll keep going forward and backwards just so that the same person isn't answering the same question first. So Jason, I have you first.
So Elliot asked me, LOL. No, I mean, he did ask me, but I think it's important for us to have this conversation. I think it's a good way to, as we talked about, learn about different identities and the different topics in the LGBTQ plus community, as well as continue to talk about ways to be good allies.
Fantastic. Next I have Beck, which I guess, Beck, you're always going to be second the way that we have this set up. So
I'm okay with that. I decided to be part of this panel because I'm currently the president of Alliance, and one of my goals is to create a better community environment on campus when it relates to these identities and making our students feel more welcome and included. And so that's something I'm really passionate about, and panels like this allow for me to engage different people on campus in different ways and help to better create environments that suit LGBT plus identities.
Last but certainly not least, we have Riley.
So I'm on this panel for all of the reasons the previous two people said, except change president to vice president because we do not have two presidents. And then also an added thing for me, and this has been a theme throughout my college career, and I will probably bring this up throughout this entire panel, is that there is not a lot of LGBTQ plus representation in STEM fields. That is something I am dressed for today, because I heard science. That is something that I am extremely passionate about, and something that I look forward to be representing on this panel, because in a lot of literature and media and anything else that you might consume, LGBTQ people, I'm just going to say queer, I'm not going to stumble over it then. Queer people are not necessarily depicted doing STEM type work and having those types of passions. And even when they are, it's often pretty inaccurate. I wrote a whole paper on that a few years ago. And so I think being able to be that representation and talk about what it's actually like is super important. And so people can remember that we're not all theater majors.
So I think it's important to ask this question before we continue with the panel. Who has the name of your friend on your shoulder? I think that's bugging us all.
This is Liz. She is one of my bearded dragons. And yes, I named her after the lizard on the Magic School Bus.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we had covered that. So
Hey, Elliot. Sorry, before we continue, can I just remind the panelists to maybe just slow down a little bit with the closed captioning? I think that we all tend to talk a little bit fast, but just want to put that out there for the good of the group. So thank you.
Thank you for the reminder. So what are some identities that you're willing to share, and why are these identities important? And let's start, I guess, Riley, you get to go again.
Yeah, it's me. Okay, I know that talking fast thing was directed at me because I talk very fast. So
it's not just you, Riley. We can just see the transcript live, and it's missing a little part. So yeah, not just you. Just a reminder.
I identify as a gay and transgender man, and these identities are important to me because they're just a part of who I am in my experience and how I walk through the world. Like, I wouldn't say they're any more important than any other part of my identity, but they're there and should be acknowledged in a normal and natural way as the situation presents itself.
Fantastic. Next, we have Beck.
Well, I identify as a lot of different things. I'm queer, I'm an artist, I'm a poet, and most importantly, I'm non-binary, and that's one of the big identities that I've really honed in on this last year and I've discovered. And it's important to me because I had help discovering my identity through friends and family, and people have become my family, and I like to be able to help others, and sharing our identities allows us to help others discover theirs. And that's why I think it's important to share our identities and not just kind of not label ourselves.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have the wonderful Jason.
Cool. So I identify as a gay man, and I mean, I have a lot of identities, but when I consider like identities that are related to LGBTQ plus identities, for a while, that was like the identity that I most agreed with, or like believed that I was. But as of recent, I have learned that I am not monogamous. And so, meaning that I'm part of the poly spectrum. And for some poly people, they don't consider themselves a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and that's totally fine. That's totally valid. That's their experiences. But together, my husband and myself made the decision that we were going to be in an open marriage, which means that we are still married to each other and we love each other dearly. But this also means that we are open to having relationships or sexual encounters that are not just between the two of us. And so recently, I actually am now in another relationship. And this is what's considered a V-type relationship. So it might be hard to see, but I am the B. So I am in a relationship with my husband, and I am in a relationship with this second person. And right now they aren't in a relationship together. So I'm the hinge that keeps us together, basically. And we're not for sure yet, but I feel like in the future, we're going to become kind of like a triad sort of thing and be in a relationship together. But yeah, and then I also noticed that Emily put in the chat that polyamorous is a term referring to folks that are not monogamous. So yes, thank you for that, Emily. And yeah, I just used the shortened term poly. And these relationships, oh, Kaden also liked the diagram. Thanks, Kaden. These identities are important because, you know, this is, as the other two mentioned, this is like who I am. this is, I care now about, and am in a relationship with two different people. And this is something that's still quite taboo, I would say, in Western culture. So it's not something that I share frequently. In fact, this is the first time that I've shared it with anyone. So yeah, I guess that's my answer to 3 and 4, question 3 and 4.
Okay, I'm sorry about this, but Jason, why is this the second time I have found out about your relationship update on live on a panel? Because that's how I found out you were engaged.
I don't, that's just how it works, I guess. I'll do anything for education, I guess.
3 years ago when I was a freshman, it was my first LGBTQ panel. Jason and I were on it together and with a few other people, and that's how, and Emily was there too, she was facilitating, and he said my fiance, and that's how we found out they were engaged.
This is the first time of me
Well,
hearing.
congratulations on your wedding.
Thank
Where
you.
do I send my gift?
All right, moving right along. Could you tell us about a positive experience you've had on campus as an LGBTQ individual? And that, I guess we're going to start with Jason again.
Yeah.
Did I do that right, Jason? And then, okay, good.
So my positive experience was, I mean, there were a lot of positive experiences, but the one that I always go back to is when I first went to my first Alliance meeting, which was also the first time that I was in the Doyle Center. I had recently come out as gay, and I was having issues at home, and my family wasn't supporting me, and I was really down. And I went to my first Alliance meeting, and everyone was excited to be there, and they welcomed me, and it just immediately, like, I could feel that sense of warmth and welcome and community. And it was something that helped shape who I was, because I kept going back to Alliance meetings, and I kept going back to the Doyle Center. And because of that, I got to work for the Doyle Center, and I got to serve as the president for the Alliance before Beck. So that first interaction is always something that I will fondly remember.
Thank you. Well, next we have the current president, Beck.
You know, this last semester, I had taken a math course, and I've since dropped out of said math course because I decided to take less credits with everything being online. And my professor came up to me, and she actually asked me my pronouns because she had saw something in Canvas, and she didn't out me in front of the class. And I've had a lot of similar experiences as of late and in the past year where I'll have professors ask separately. And that's something that's really impactful because it's not something that you might be comfortable sharing with the whole class, and them taking that extra step in time really makes the difference and shows that they're attempting to be good allies and doing the best that they very can, and makes a difference for my life and for other students' lives.
That's fantastic. Next we have Riley.
I think I would say a lot of the experience that I've had working with TRIO and the School of Ed and the College of EMS SSP, which is Student Success Program. And I'm realizing that I keep talking quickly. But the people that I work for have been extremely supportive and have helped me to find opportunities and have done things like offering paid work time for attending panels such as this one. And I think, and it's just been a very normal part of life for me in these spaces where I can talk about my involvement with the Alliance or the Doyle Center or refer to my partner and not have to say, oh, my friend or my roommate. And so it's just very nice to be able to do everything that I do and be my entire authentic self doing it.
This is an important question for you, Riley. Who was your favorite boss?
I have to go with Tammy Salmon Stephens. I always pronounce her name incorrectly, but I'm sorry, Elliot. She and I are just very, very close, and I've been working a lot one-on-one with her, especially this past semester, and I have to. Also, I make more at that job.
I'm deeply offended right now, but that's okay. Could you tell us about a more challenging experience you've had on campus as an LGBTQ plus individual? And this time we'll start with Riley.
Yes, well, I'm a STEM major, so sometimes things just like using the bathroom in aughts is really difficult. I actually, especially now with masks, I get asked if I'm in the wrong bathroom, especially in aughts, because I have long hair and I'm 5'3", I'm not tall. And so people will like walk past me and then do a double take to see if they're in the men's room and then if I should be in the men's room. And so that's very uncomfortable. And they never really say anything, but that's usually because I walk away too fast. And just sort of the general, I'm from a much larger, less rural area than Platteville. I said before, I'm from New Jersey. Where I'm from is technically a suburb of New York City. So when I first moved to Platteville, I was not used to being near a rural farming community. And so that big culture shock was a little bit different. And I realized that I sort of had to step back and do a little bit more educating than I was used to, because I think I've definitely been the first queer person, almost certainly the first trans person a lot of people I know have interacted with on a personal level, like not through social media or not just someone they meet once off, but someone they see every day. And so I think doing that, while it's been rewarding, was especially at first very, very difficult.
Thank you. Next we have Beck.
So I went through the process of changing my preferred name in the system because I didn't want to legally change it quite yet, and those are two separate processes. But with that comes the territory of having the wrong name show up in rosters and whatnot, because the systems don't connect. And it's really frustrating that they don't connect, and it's not something that's necessarily fixable unless people talk about it. And you can't look me up in PASS. Sarah Kohler can't look me up in PASS unless she looks up my dead name. It doesn't show up. And so I've had teachers ask me before and think I'm in the wrong class because I tell them my name and they don't see me. And it gets really frustrating sometimes when it consistently happens and there is some solutions for it. And so that's something that I've really been frustrated with, and it's been more of a challenging experience, because although people are responsive and receptive, having to correct people over and over again by a simple technical error is something that's challenging.
It's definitely something that's challenging. Thank you for sharing, Beck. Jason, we have you next.
Yeah, so also going back to my freshman year, I was in one of the residence halls and I just so happened to live next to two individuals who tried running for Student Senate President and Vice President. And if you've been on campus for long enough, you know that that was a challenging running. They believed that if they were elected, that they were going to remove safe zones and safe spaces. And so it was a very hostile environment. I got the impression that they didn't know that I was gay, but it was very obvious that they weren't understanding or fully supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. Thankfully, there were wonderful people in my life. My RD asked me to have a meeting and she said, you know, this is kind of a weird situation. I understand this could be really uncomfortable for you. I have a room on the 4th floor. You could move there for the rest of the semester. So thankfully, I had wonderful people that were there to support me, but was definitely a challenging and dark time while I was a student at UW-Platteville.
Thank you for sharing. The next question that we have is, in what ways can people be productive allies? And Jason, we have you again.
Absolutely. So to be a good ally, my suggestions are to listen to what we're saying and to learn from the different LGBTQ plus experiences and identities to become more familiar. There are so many different identities. Make room at the table so we have a chance to have our voices heard. At the same time, get out of the way and let us actually make a difference. And I mean that in like the most sincere, genuine way, that just as white people often take up a lot of space, and we have to acknowledge that we take up that space, which is now a good time to note that all three panelists are white, so our experiences are white focused. At the same time, as a heterosexual cisgender person, it's important to note that you are taking up a space that maybe it would be beneficial if you let the LGBTQ plus person share their experiences, their ideas, etc.
Thank you for sharing. Next, we have Beck.
Ask questions. You know, there are a lot of people who have a lot of information, and if they don't have the information, they're willing to direct you to the resources that do, or if they don't have necessarily the time, they know people who can direct you to the resources. We have a whole library in the Doyle Center, and it's important to educate yourselves. If you don't know something and you are unaware, it's better to ask questions and educate yourself rather than making assumptions. And just trying. If you just try to connect with your students specifically, or friends and family, and ask them what you can do to make them feel supported, they often can give you a much better clue. And asking what you can do rather than just assuming what you can do is really a great way to be an ally.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Riley.
I'm definitely going to echo some of the points that Jason made. I would say the people in my life who have been the best allies have been the people who have gotten to know me on a personal level, and then taken that input and use it in places where there may not be queer voices being heard. So, for example, if there's someone on a committee, and especially if there are no, at least none that you know of, queer people on that committee, be thinking in your head, what issues might this population be facing that maybe I don't face or I'm not thinking about right now? And bring that up, because maybe there is someone queer on the committee, but they're closeted, or they don't want to bring it up because they are fearing that they'll face backlash for it. But so it's really about using your privilege in that sense, because, for example, I know that like new buildings are being built right now. And so if someone on that committee is advocating for, say, gender neutral bathrooms, and that person is known to be trans, I feel like they're a lot more likely to get backlash or not taken as seriously than if somebody else, a cis person, were to be, we should have gender neutral bathrooms in this new building. And so I say the best way to be an ally is to, one, talk to members of the community. Yeah, talk to members of the community and ask what issues they're facing. And obviously don't do this in a patronizing way. Do this with people that you're close to and in a private environment, and then actually listen and really actively hear them. And then bring what you've learned to places where maybe they can't.
All very good points. Thank you, Riley. And back to you, Riley. What has best helped you feel supported in the past?
What has best helped me feel supported has been, as I said before, people who have gotten to know me and gotten to know all parts of me. Because as I said at the beginning, I am a queer person and I am also a scientist and a STEM major. And those are two things that you don't necessarily see overlap. And a lot of times I've been faced in my life with a false dichotomy where I can be openly queer, but no one in this space is going to have any idea what I'm talking about when I say reverse HPLC, or which is, it's a chemical separation method. What it is not important right now. But, or I could be in an environment where I can talk about my passion for my work and like science, math, computer programming, things like that. And the moment I say, like, I use he, him pronouns for my partner or something like that, then everyone, it's suddenly uncomfortable. And so being able to integrate the parts of my life is what's made me feel the most supported. And so I think that that's what you can do, is if you are talking to a queer person or like becoming friends with a queer person, don't just focus on their identity, but also don't leave it out.
Thank you. Next, we have Beck.
So, what's best helped me feel supported in the past are making connections with people, kind of like Riley talked about, and getting to know people on a personal level, but also having people help me discover my identity. And I've made it a goal to be one of those people, help others discover who they are by guiding friends and family and helping them. And so it's important to work your identity into your everyday life and understand that you can't fix everything when you're supporting them, that there's going to be hardship and struggle, and you can't do everything for them. And you just kind of need there to be along for the ride. And I think that's really important to note, is that you do have privilege and power and you want to help to change it, but the world sucks sometimes and you just kind of gotta let it be. And the storms come and go. And if you're just there and a friend, it's really helpful.
Thank you for sharing, Beck. Last but not least, we have Jason.
So I want to echo what Beck and Riley had mentioned, that people help a lot. And I'm looking at like who's in this meeting, and I know a lot of you. And hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and as safe as you can be right now. And hopefully we all get to see each other again soon, because, you know, eventually we'll all get vaccinated and eventually COVID won't be a thing anymore, hopefully, or at least we'll have it managed. But I also want to mention some of the resources that we have on campus that really helped me. So as I mentioned before, the Doyle Center and the Alliance, for my whole time, my 4 years, were huge places that helped me feel supported. It's where I met people. It's where I went to different events. We hosted Rainbow Rave, which is our annual conference and drag show. And Rainbow Rave is a wonderful experience. If you haven't gotten to go yet, hopefully next year it will be in person, or this, I guess 2021 will hopefully be in person maybe, or 2022. But please go. It is a wonderful experience. The drag queens and kings are lovely. They will make you feel supported and loved, and it's a wonderful time. But really thinking about all of the people and all the different departments in the Division of Diversity and Inclusion really are there to support LGBTQ plus students. And so I just can't thank those folks enough. And really, a lot of the departments on campus really have a focus that they want to make sure that LGBTQ plus people feel supported. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Okay, what do you, what do you like most about being part of the LGBTQ community? Let me repeat that. What do you like most about being part of the LGBTQ community? We'll start with Jason.
The answer is in the question, the community aspect. As I just mentioned, Rainbow Rave is a wonderful opportunity to feel that community support. Or I've gotten to go to Chicago Pride a couple times, and that is absolutely lovely. There's just a giant, massive group of LGBTQ plus people and allies, and it's warm and fuzzy and the biggest family that you could ever have. So what I like most is the fact that we are a massive community here to support one another.
I completely agree with that too. Next we have Beck.
I mean, yeah, basically what Jason said there, it's my chosen family. I get to choose who I let in my life and continue to have in my life. And that's the best part, is I've made so many meaningful connections and friends throughout my experience at Platteville and before Platteville. And that's what's really the best part, is we're there and we're supportive and we share similar experiences. And so sometimes it's hard if you're outside of the community and closeted, but once you get in there, you realize there's a lot of people like you, and that's helpful and is something I really appreciate.
Thank you, Beck. Next we have Riley.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're all going to say the community. And my take on that is that a community is a group of people that you have a feeling of fellowship and solidarity with, even if you don't necessarily know each other. And the great part about being part of the LGBT community is that that is a resource, and that is a group of people who are supportive and who I can help to support anywhere that I go in the world. And so being able to have that huge network is something that's really powerful, and something that, especially as I'm going to be moving most likely soon, I'm going to really see the benefits of, because definitely that community support was how I first became involved in activism my freshman year in Platteville. Was that sort of the same experience as Jason, as I came into the Doyle Center, and I felt like these people were there for me, because no matter how different we are, all of us have had some type of similar experience, and that they're people who you look out for them and they look out for you.
Thank you. So our next question is, are you out on campus? Why or why not? And we'll start with Riley.
Yes, I am very out on campus. I did not used to be. And so the reason I am out on campus now is the same reason that I didn't used to be. And that is because I want people to see me for the person that I am. And when I was first coming to college, I had been receiving a lot of messages that people won't take me seriously as a student or as a scientist or as anything else unless I appear like I am not part of the community. And so I had very short hair. I dressed in a specific way that was not my favorite. And I made sure to not really tell people that I was going to Alliance meetings or being involved in any of that kind of stuff. And then as I found more support on campus and I found more communities, I began to feel more comfortable expressing my authentic self and discovering who that was. And so I started doing advocacy work so that other people could see that they're supported on campus. And I think the best type of advocacy is representation. I think seeing somebody who looks like you, sounds like you, has experiences like you, doing the thing that you want to do is the best way to know that you can do it as well. And so I'm striving to be that. That is also a small part of the reason why my chosen profession is actually to be a university professor at a primarily undergraduate institution, because this is a community that has helped me so much. And I want to be someone who can be that role model for the next generation of queer chemists.
Thank you for sharing. Next, we have Beck.
So, kind of like Riley said, representation matters, but I'm out on campus because representation matters, and it's important to be able to have a voice and share your voice for those who may not be able to due to family circumstances, they're not ready to come out yet, a lot of different factors. And I have a level of privilege that makes me able to be out. I have a supportive community, I have a supportive family, I have friends, I have stable housing. There's a lot of factors that allow me to be out, and a lot of those factors I know other people don't have. And it's important to be their voice and to represent their needs as well. And I do try to do a lot of work with different groups of students on campus, especially as of late, working with them to discuss what they want seen changed on campus. And so that's the main reason I choose to be out on campus, is to help others, and it makes me feel better about myself. Being my authentic self allows me to receive a better education and have more meaningful interactions. And the community climate we have on Platteville campuses is welcoming to that, which is something that's great.
Thank you for sharing. Next, we have Jason.
Sure. So while I was on campus, I was out and a proud gay man, although I do also want to acknowledge that I dress more traditionally masculine. So there definitely were instances where I could pass as straight. And again, that is a privilege that I had. So I didn't often have to worry about facing any backlash. There were some instances where I was worried, but for the most part, I had that privilege where even though I was an out gay man, many times I still oftentimes just looked like a straight white dude. If I was still on campus, I don't know if I would be out about the fact that I am polyamorous. And again, this goes back to what I had mentioned at the beginning, in that, at least for me, it feels like being poly, being in a very open relationship, having multiple partners, still seems very, very taboo and very hard for people to talk about. And I don't know if I would be ready to face that sort of backlash and all of the questions that I would have to face. And it's still a new identity that I and my partners are learning about.
I think you all bring up a good point in that being out is definitely kind of a privilege in a lot of cases. So thank you for bringing that up. I think the next question that I have for you is a question that I think a lot of trans people are asked a lot, which is, why are pronouns important? And we'll start with, people are shifting around in the video thing. We'll start with Jason.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much space here because I am, as of today, I still identify using he, him pronouns, which people have always used he, him pronouns for me. So I don't want to take up too much space. I'll let the other folks talk more about this. But basically, the pronouns are part of the person's identity, and we want to be respectful to the people and what their identities are. And it is not difficult at all to use the pronouns that they identify with.
Thank you. Next, we have Beck.
So pronouns are a part of respect. Jason said that, and they're important to me specifically because they're something I struggled to come to terms with for a while, and it took a while to figure out. And I deserve to have that level of respect after the challenge I went through to figure them out. And just as everyone else has their pronouns respected, I deserve that as well. And it really is just basic human decency, and that's why it's important.
Thank you for sharing. Next, we have Riley.
So, the pronouns topic has almost been beat to death in recent years, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, just because, how would you feel if somebody kept consistently addressing you as something that you're not? I imagine it would be, well, I don't have to imagine, but it's very frustrating. And that's why pronouns are important. The end.
Thank you. And the final question that I have for you all are, what are some of your favorite resources in the community? And we'll start with Riley.
Okay, my favorite resources. Definitely the Doyle Center for Gender and Sexuality has been a very supportive environment. And then I especially like the new Department of Campus Climate, which did not exist when I was a freshman. And the work that they do to educate other departments and other areas of the university that are not directly related to diversity and inclusion is so important. And so I think I'm going to have to pick that one as my favorite, just because what they do is show all other fields and all areas of campus that even if you don't think you have diversity, and even if you don't think these issues are directly relevant to you, they are.
Thank you for sharing. And shout out to Campus Climate there. Next we have Jason. No, we have Beck. Sorry.
I have a thing for books, and I really like the Doyle Center Library. It has so many good resources. I recently, Trans Bodies, Trans Selves, A Guide to the Transgender Community. I think that's what I most recently checked out. And then the Doyle Center itself, Elliott, and then all of my professors and staff. Pip has been somebody who's been really helpful and supportive. In the English department, I found a lot of support from them. And so overall, I've had really good luck with my professors being supportive too. Campus as a whole, since I've been here, and I've only been here for 2 years now has seemed really supportive from the areas I'm in. And granted, I did switch majors from agriculture education into political science because I didn't quite feel like I fit into the agriculture education department. And I think that really helped me feel supported in the long run when coming to terms with my identities, because I have professors who I feel are more educated on the topics. And that's something that's really helpful. And so just having educated professors who go to ally trainings and trans topics and attend alliance meetings and attend panels like this is something that I really appreciate about campus and is a good resource.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Jason.
So in addition to the awesome resources that we have on campus, I wanted to briefly touch base on some of the community specific resources that we have. And I'm continuing to think of some as I'm talking right now, so I'm jotting them down quick before I forget. So shortly after I came to Platteville, I started working at Driftless Market because I knew that it was owned by 2 lesbians and 2 allies. And so Driftless Market is our local grocery store and retail space and community-centered place of wonderful gay glory, queer glory. So definitely check out Driftless Market. It recently changed ownership. It is now owned by 2 gay men who are happily married and 2 more allies. So even through this change in ownership, Driftless Market continues to be a place where LGBTQ plus people feel safe and supported. And most of our employees there are part of the LGBTQ plus community. In addition to that, if you want to get a haircut, I suggest going to Barbershop Rock. They are very supportive of LGBTQ plus identities, and they are very non-judgmental. I love getting my hair done by Rachel. She has gotten my hair cut, and she has also dyed my hair, and it's been lovely. So that is my personal suggestion, but they all are lovely folks to work with. The public library is a really good resource. Obviously, there's a library on campus, but if you want to get off campus and do something different, once it's safe to do so, the public library would be another good resource. They also host different events at the public library, so there's chance that they'll host some LGBTQ plus events. Badger Brothers is our local coffee shop. I believe they still have their pride flag up in their window. Lovely coffee shop, love them. They're very supportive, have some wonderful drinks there as well. Another place for you to hang out. I also want to mention the Southwest Wisconsin Rainbow Alliance. Shout out to Elliot. He is one of the folks that helped form the Southwest Wisconsin Rainbow Alliance. It is a community-focused, soon-to-be nonprofit, right, Elliot? That's in the works.
I think we're technically a nonprofit right now. So
okay. It's a nonprofit. And we are focusing on advancing the rights of LGBTQ plus people in Southwest Wisconsin. There's also, I will mention that there is now a task force for diversity and inclusion with the city council. So the city council itself is definitely thinking about how to make sure our community is more equitable and inclusive. And then, although it's not specific for LGBTQ plus people, there is the Black Platt Network. And they have been wonderful folks that I've gotten to work with as well. So if you want to more broadly thinking about diversity and community places that are supportive, and you either want to support Black or POC, or you are a member of that identity, that's a great resource as well.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, pretty sure the comment came just made. I'm pretty sure they are too. And Emily said that there was another question that someone had.
Yeah, so I know that someone asked me a question. I think Kaden has a question too. So it looks like we might have a bit of time. Someone asked, so panelists, do you think that COVID has affected the LGBTQ plus community differently? And if so, in what way?
I forget what order that I was in.
I think I'll go first.
Right, Jason, right. Thank you.
So for some elders in the LGBTQ plus community, the COVID-19 pandemic mirrors the AIDS epidemic that they faced in the 80s and 90s. And so it's been a very, very scary time for a lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community. But even if you didn't go through that, even if you are somewhat educated and knowledgeable, it's still a very scary time. And it's a time that we want to support those people who are reliving a trauma that they most definitely didn't want to relive. And we know that LGBTQ plus people oftentimes deal with homelessness at an accelerated rate, and poverty, and lack of food. And these things have all been a larger issue now because of the pandemic. Kaden mentioned lack of access to healthcare, absolutely. And so because of that, we're seeing that marginalized identities are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic in a larger rate. More people are being tested positive for COVID-19, and more of them are having adverse effects through the pandemic. So yes, the COVID-19 pandemic has drastically affected LGBTQ plus people and most marginalized folks.
I completely agree. Next, we have Beck.
I don't have a ton to add on to what Jason said. He pretty much wrapped it all up. It does affect us at a different rate because of a number of different factors. And I think Jason did a really good job of answering that question. I know I lived in the dorms when COVID-19 first happened, and I needed to stay in the dorms because I was planning to go back to work. And then within 2 days, I was told I had to move home. And I moved home in big black trash bags into my mother's house, who I didn't have a great relationship with at the time. And so that's something that's affected people too, is like college students living on campuses and having to move home with their non-supportive parents after they found this accepting community can be really difficult and really traumatic, because you're going home from being with your friends who support you, and especially like people who've changed their names or come out as transgender, non-binary, etc. And they all of a sudden have to go home and they're treated as if those identities don't matter by their parents. I've heard of a lot of trauma from that, and I have some myself. And so that was something that really affected me, and I know has affected other students in a college campus community kind of situation.
Thank you for sharing. Last but not least, we have Riley. Oh, go ahead, Riley.
Yes, and then I would like to add, those are both excellent points that were made. But another thing I'd like to add is that this pandemic has caused an economic downturn and difficulties in the job market. And that has definitely disproportionately affected LGBTQ people, because when employers are looking for jobs, whether they're actively working against it or especially when they're not, we are less likely to get hired than a person with the same qualifications who is not outwardly queer. And so, and that's not even mentioning the additional issues that we might have faced, such as not being able to have an unpaid internship because we need to support ourselves, or having a unsupportive family environment and the stress that that causes, or the likelihood of having done worse in school because of all of the other struggles and life situations that the person may be facing as a result of their LGBTQ identity. And so I know the, as I mentioned before, I'm going into higher education, and all of that was shut down and still is kind of shut down. And I was, part of the reason I'm going into higher education is that it is generally a very progressive and supportive environment for LGBTQ employees and professors. And yes, it is state dependent. And yes, housing access as well. Thank you, Emily. But so I had a summer program all lined up, and then it was just taken away, and I had to start applying for jobs that, since I've been tailoring my experience and my CV and everything to work in higher education, I was not the most qualified candidate for these industry positions in the essential businesses that were not shutting down, because why would I be, when there's a bunch of other chemists who are actively trying to get into these careers, and I had to pivot at the last second. And so I wound up working in a very unsupportive environment, and that was also very not COVID safe. Almost nobody wore their masks, even though it was required, and nobody enforced it. And so that is something that a lot of LGBTQ plus people deal with. And then even on the broader scale, I've said before, I'm a scientist. I'm saying we're not all theater majors, but that stereotype exists for a reason. A lot of LGBTQ people are employed in creative professions because historically they're more accepting, and those were some of the most impacted professions, were creative and service type jobs. And those are the areas where people are losing their jobs in the most numbers. And so that has been a really big hit to our community.
I really quick just want to echo what Riley said. I also wanted to go in higher education immediately after graduating, and I couldn't find anything. I applied to numerous different places, and everywhere in the United States and Canada was fair game. So that's why I ended up working at Driftless Market as a general manager for about a year, because it's an essential business that continued to stay open. But even when I applied to my current position, there were over 85 applicants that they had to look through for an administrative assistant position. And from that, it was a very, very tight application. Like, the difference between myself and the other two finalists was the fact that I was better at the prompts. We had like a prompt, like a review this memo, fix the spelling and grammar. And I just happened to be better at that. So the job market is absolutely bonkers right now. And it is very, very difficult to find any sort of jobs. And most places have a freeze on hiring because there is a lack of funds to be able to hire those people.
All very good points. Thank you for sharing. Were there any other questions, Emily and Caden?
Yeah, I had one more, and I just kind of want to add a little bit to the last question. Some folks don't always know this, but Wisconsin requires open publication of name changes and things. And so when LGBTQ folks are applying for jobs, oftentimes before they even get in the door, people can know that they are queer to some degree, because that's front-facing public information. So just a lot of interesting barriers. And Wisconsin is a fire at will state. So even though there are technically some federal and state protections for LGBTQ folks, that doesn't always mean that we're actually safe. Okay, so question. If you could give advice to someone who has been or is questioning their identity and sexuality, what would it be? Who are we starting with? Riley?
I think it was Riley, yeah.
All right, Riley.
Okay. I think, wow, it's been a while for me. But I think the advice that I would give would be to not spend all of your time actively thinking about it, which I know is a super tempting thing to do. But like the whole story with Albert Einstein working in the patent office when he came up with the theory of relativity, a lot of times doing other things and sort of letting it process in the background is how these sort of innate things like gender identity and sexuality work, and how you figure them out. So definitely experiment with different clothing or a different name or different pronouns around people who you trust. But I would say, if it's causing you distress and you're not getting anywhere, take a break, and eventually it'll come.
Thank you. Next, we have Beck.
I would say, find a community, go to Alliance meetings. If you're at Platteville, ask questions, join, we have the internet now. Join an online Facebook group anonymously. There's so many ways to get involved with the community that's not necessarily outing yourself. And I think that's important to highlight, is that there's a lot of ways online specifically that you can go and find support and resources that doesn't have to be face to face with a person. And especially during the pandemic, it's really important to know that we have those online connections and resources and be able to use those when we're questioning identities and figuring out ourselves. And so I would say ask questions and use all the resources you have, because if you use them, you're going to find someone with similar experiences who is going to be able to help you.
And last but not least, we have the wonderful Jason.
I don't think I have much else to add. I will just say that, like, for myself, I can echo what Riley said, in that, like, sitting and thinking about it and pondering about it and questioning it and doing nothing but that does no good for most people. And at least for myself, I can say from my experience that that was the worst thing that I could have done when I was coming to terms with being gay. I would just sit in my room and think and ponder and end up crying. And that was not helpful or productive in any way. But attending support groups, having conversations with people that were close to me, that I could trust, and I could say, this is what I think is happening, this is what I want, this is maybe who I am. It's a great opportunity to process and to think through in a productive way, and learn more about who you are. And then, like Beck said, being able to be a part of the community, which right now is virtual through virtual events and things. But once we get back to a somewhat of a more normal life, being able to attend Pride is a wonderful experience. As I've mentioned before, being able to, if going to a gay bar is your thing, try out a gay bar or go to a drag show, attend Rainbow Rave. These are ways that help give you at least a sense of community, whether or not you identify as part of the community, LGBTQ plus community or not, you're still going to feel love and support. And that helps you in the long run in so many different ways.
Thank you for sharing. I think we're at time.
Yeah, I think that that is all that we have for tonight. So thank you, Elliot, and to the panelists for being here. Thank you for the participants for staying engaged. And yeah, have a great rest of your evenings, everyone, and hope to see you in future MCIC sessions.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.